Jai Hind everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel which is Explore Yourselves, Banking and General Knowledge etc. Jai Hind. Historical events of 5th May. A journey through time of 5th May 2025 Monday. Today is that is 5th May. Highlight in history. 1609. Daimyo Lord Shimaju Tadatsune of the Satsuma domain in southern Kyushu, Japan, completes his successful invasion of the Ryukyu kingdom in Okinawa. 1640. King Charles I of England dissolves the Short Parliament. 1654. Cromwell's Act of Grace aimed at reconciliation with the Scots proclaimed in Edinburgh. 1762. Russia and Prussia signed the Treaty of St. Petersburg. 1789. In France, the States General convenes for the first time since 1614. 1809. Mary Kayes becomes the first woman awarded a US patent for a technique of weaving straw with silk and thread. 1821. Emperor Napoleon dies in exile on the island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic Ocean. 1821. The first edition of the Manchester Guardian, now the Guardian, is published. 1835. The first railway in continental Europe opens between Brussels and Mechelen. 1862. Cinco de Mayo, troops led by Ignacio Zaragoza halt a French invasion in the Battle of Puebla in Mexico. 1864. American Civil War. The Battle of the Wilderness begins in Spotsylvania County. 1865. American Civil War. The Confederate government was declared dissolved at Washington, Georgia. 1866. Memorial Day first celebrated in the United States at Waterloo, New York. 1877. American Indian Wars. Sitting Bull leads his band of Lakota into Canada to avoid harassment by the United States Army under Colonel Nelson Miles. 1886. Workers marching for the 80-hour day in Milwaukee, Wisconsin were shot at by Wisconsin National Guardsmen in what became known as the Bayview Massacre. 1887. The Peruvian Academy of Language is founded. 1891. The Music Hall in New York City, later known as Carnegie Hall, has its grand opening and first public performance with Tchaikovsky as the guest conductor. 1904. Pitching against the Philadelphia Athletics at the Huntington Avenue grounds, C.Y. Young of the Boston Americans throws the first perfect game in the modern era of baseball. 1905. The trial in the Stratton brothers case begins in London, England. It marks the first time that fingerprint evidence is used to gain a conviction for murder. 1912. The first issue of the Bolshevik newspaper Pravda was published. 1920. Authorities arrest Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vangetti for alleged robbery and murder. 1930. The 1930 Bago earthquake, the former of two major earthquakes in southern Burma, kills as many as 7,000 in Yangon and Bago. 1936. Italian troops occupy Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. 1940. World War II. Norwegian campaign. Norwegian squads in Hegra fortress and Vinges capitulate to German forces after all other Norwegian forces in southern Norway had laid down their arms. 1941. Emperor Haile Selassie returns to Addis Ababa. The country commemorates the date as Liberation Day or Patriots' Victory Day. 1945. World War II. The Prague Uprising begins as an attempt by the Czech resistance to free the city from German occupation. 1945. World War II. A Fugo balloon bomb launched by Japanese army killed 6 people near Bly, Oregon. 1945. World War II. Battle of Castle Itar, one of only two battles in that war in which American and German troops fought cooperatively. 1946. The International Military Tribunal for the Far East begins in Tokyo with 28 Japanese military and government officials accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity. 1955. The General Treaty by which France, Britain, and the United States recognize the sovereignty of West Germany comes into effect. 1961. Project Mercury. Alan Shepard becomes the first American to travel into outer space on a suborbital flight. 1964. The Council of Europe declares May 5 as Europe Day. 1972. Alitalia Flight 112 crashes into Mount Longa near Palermo, Sicily, killing all 115 abroad, making it the deadliest single aircraft disaster in Italy. 1973. Secretariat wins the 1973 Kentucky Derby in 1 minute 59.4 as an yet unbeaten record. 1980. Operation Nimrod. The British Special Air Service storms the Iranian embassy in London after a 6-day siege. 1981. Bobby Sands dies in the Long Case Prison Hospital after 66 days of hunger striking, aged 27. 1985. Ronald Reagan visits the military cemetery at Pittsburgh and the site of the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp where he makes a speech. 1987. Iran-Contra affair. Start of congressional televised hearings in the United States of America. 1991. A riot breaks out in the Mt. Pleasant section of Washington, D.C. after police shoot a Salvadoran man. 1994. The signing of the Bishkek Protocol between Armenia and Azerbaijan effectively freezes the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. 1994. American teenager Michael P. Fay is canned in Singapore for theft and vandalism. 2006. The government of Sudan signs an accord with the Sudan Liberation Army. 2007. Kenya Airways Flight 507 crashes after takeoff from Douala International Airport in Douala, Cameroon, killing all 114 aboard, making it the deadliest aircraft disaster in Cameroon. 2010. Mass protests in Greece erupt in response to austerity measures imposed by the government as a result of the Greek government debt crisis. 2023. The World Health Organization declares the end of the COVID-19 pandemic as a global health emergency. Thank you very much for your patience. Request for like, share and subscribe.